Hello, family, and welcome back to Radical Squares. So, I wanted to share a little bit more about myself and about the series that I'm creating. My name is Sage. I am 28 years old. I am a two-spirit trans individual. I also went to school for community engagement and education. And so it has been pretty normal for me to study anti-capitalism. I have studied anti-capitalism and capitalist and economic systems since I was 18 years old. And many of my peers know me for this, and I'm very known as an organizer for being very passionate about these things. And so Radical Squares is a series that I'm using to kind of channel a lot of that energy. I also want to be able to use this as a platform to start necessary conversations in a time where our level of organizing as people, especially as Americans, probably needs to be up a couple more levels than it is. And radical, when I say that, from my perspective, is just really disruptive. I've just been told a lot that the thoughts that I have or the ideas I have are disruptive. So that is what I use when I say radical squares. However, today I've decided that I will talk about a couple different definitions of the word radical that we're witnessing in America. Being radical is defined as relating to the fundamental nature of something. And politically, the definition shifts to a person who advocates based on thorough or complete social change. So when I'm having these conversations with people about what it means to be radical, often what I see that they think or perceive is that people who are radical do not know how to compromise, and that seems very egregious in a two-party system. So let's assess some versions of radical that we see evolving in America that can help us decide whether or not being radical is truly egregious or selfish. The first one that I like to call is kind of a homegrown radicalism, which is because that's how it is to me personally. The reality is that it's radicalism that is handed down from poverty a lot of the times and handed down from struggle. This is the same kind of radicalism that is familiar to us in the Black Panther Party or the Brown Berets. It comes from a place that reinforces the idea that all life-giving resources are a natural birthright for people, and especially in America. And this is a common leftist belief in our country. And it only becomes radical because it challenges the hyper-independence that capitalism needs to survive. And that is human hyper-independence that's needed, not necessarily economic hyper-independence from us. Meaning that, as I mentioned in the other video, capitalism is not operating as a free enterprise system where everybody has a chance in the same market. So essentially, this version of being radical really just divvies out to having radical love for your fellow human being, regardless of the situations that they have gone through that may have caused them to be in this situation. You don't have a right to dehumanize them or tell them that they are not worth life-giving resources. Now, before I bring up the second version of the radical we are witnessing in our country, I do want to address the media for a little bit, because the media plays a really huge part in how Americans show up and socially see each other. Very few people will take the time to do the research about a people, especially if what they need from a people is really ammunition instead of connection. Now, I don't feel like it's right to judge anyone's experience. However, in my opinion, this is definitely the worst way to be radical, when the reason why you are radical does not come from a place of not having or understanding poverty, but instead comes from a place of privilege and wanting to protect that privilege. And so this is what I like to call mimicry radicalism, where a lot of people are allowed to have their perspectives regardless of how privileged they are. However, not believing that marginalization is affecting everyone is the problem. We can all not work together or create a dream where we fight together if there is a group of people who secretly believe that they are suffering more than others, or that they are deserving of alleviation from this suffering more than others. So at this time, let's be mindful about who we're dealing with, the ignorance they feel comfortable moving in, while also keeping true radicalism in our hearts. A radical and loving belief that there are enough resources here for everyone to prosper.